way to work. I rode a big green bus. I could see everything.
Welcome to the Living Room Tour and Paul McCartney. It's nice to see you. How are you?
Hey Zane.
Nice.
Good to see you again.
You too. First of all, what does a record become to you once it's released?
I always forget. It's like sitting an exam. And this is the oral. Then when you put it out, you realize you're putting it out for people to have opinions on.
And do you take the marks on board, what people give you? Do you follow it?
Depends if they're good marks.
You got someone vetting those for you?
Yeah, I'll tell everyone.
Yes! I mean, it's unique for an artist of any genre, in particular rock and roll, to work with as many producers.
You know, I wasn't supposed to have 4 producers. I was trying 4 producers with the aim of having 1. But
I'm assuming you didn't let the others know that you were, well, when I was in with Ethan, Mark, let me tell you.
Yeah. Sorry guys, I'm going to be out of town.
Your phone rings.
Not you, Ethan.
Exactly, you're just in there with Giles and the phone rings. Sorry, it's Paul Epworth. I'm just going to leave the room for 5 minutes. I'll be back.
So first of all, I went round to Paul Epworth in his studio, and I went up there. I said, "Okay, well, I've got my little bag of songs." He said, "Do you know what?" He said, "I've got this idea. I've got this feeling that what it should be like." So he started to give me this kind of up-tempo beat. And I said, "Oh, yeah, okay," realizing now, okay, we're going to make it up.
Yeah.
I didn't know he did that.
Yeah.
So I just got on the piano, started banging away. He jumped on the drums, and he's a good drummer, Paul. And I said, "Well, what do we do? We keep you on drums?" He said, "Well, sometimes." He said, "You know, we can get a proper drummer in," but he didn't sound convinced.
No, he's opened the door for it.
Was he ever going to get a proper drummer in?
And why would you not?
But the thing is, he's got great energy. So he's, and it was his idea, after all, to do that tempo.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, let's hear, how it sounds. So I banged out on piano, started to put some chords with the idea, and we gradually just that day we kind of just layered it, finished it up. When I was working with Ethan Johns on this album, I brought him a couple of acoustic songs. He said, "Well, just go down in the studio." We were at Abbey Road. He said, "Just go down there and play it, just like you did to me." So I did that, and we did a take, and he says, "It was great."
Yeah.
So I came back up and I said, "Well, I mean, that little bit of the vocal's a bit wobbly. I'm sure I could sing that a bit better." He said, "But it's you. It's vulnerable." And he said, it sounds really true to life. And we left it, and people have said to me, "Oh, I like that track." What I would do is I'd take my little girl to school, my youngest daughter, and then I'd come back and I'd have some time before I would have to go and pick her up again. So, I would just come home, get myself a little cup of tea or something, and sit with my guitar or piano, and on Alligator.
Yeah.
I was
Cup of coffee, cup of tea as well, something to...
just knocking right. It was actually a cup of green tea.
Yep.
I wanted to feel zen.
Yep.
I was messing around, and I sort of found that. But then I got it kind of go.
Yeah.
Need someone to come home to. Started just sort of getting the idea. Need someone to come home to. Need someone to come home to. I need a place I can rap. Somebody I can do. So
And you went there naturally, straight away. I mean, you just followed it.
it's kind of basically the same shape with these two.
And the words, "I just need somebody to come home to," I need somebody to come home to, that came to you naturally from the music? It lent itself to that emotion?
Yeah, I knew that in about 3 hours' time, 3 or 4 hours' time after I started, I would be going to ring Nancy, who was in New York, and I knew I'd wake her up. Around about 12 o'clock, it was 7 o'clock for her. So this gave me a motivation to write something, then ring her up, say, "Morning, baby, you want to hear a song?"
You are such a player.
Smoothie.
That's amazing.
Come on, man.
Still writing songs for girls, basically, right? That's what
Would you
it's
like
all
to hear a song, honey?
Still writing songs for chicks.
All my life, I never knew what I could be, what I could do. Then we were new.
It was just a sort of late night, and I was at home in London, and I got my dad's old piano that used to be at our house in Liverpool, and it's a great sound, and obviously the whole vibe, because it's my dad's, you know, I played it when I was a kid and he played it. It's a nice instrument to play. So I just came up with that, and you know, there's only so many ways you can talk about meeting someone and falling for someone. And it just occurred to me when I was writing the song that I could say, then we were new. There we were, going along, and then we were new. It was just another way that I thought was kind of, hopefully, original to say, you know, then we were in love. I had to mess around on an auto-tuner.
Oh my God.
I'd seen, well, I kind of knew that all my mates would go.
I don't know if I'd want to hear that. I think that would just destroy me if I heard you on an auto-tune.
This is what I'm talking about. And that people I knew would go, oh no, you can't do that. Well, because of that, I'd never even got near one. But then I went to see Kanye and he's using one live.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? I mean, that would be fun. I mean, maybe I'm not going to use it, which I didn't. You'd be pleased to hear.
Did you record anything
But it
with
was
it at
great
all?
fun.
Right.
Yeah, on this Appreciate track, you know, that I did some stuff. We didn't use it because it was too everything.
I think the Four Horsemen would have been mounting up and ready for action if you'd put that out now. It would have been one step in the wrong direction.
But it was great to do. I think vinyl is the best. Vinyl, I mean, it just sounds good. And I asked my engineers why it sounds good. And they explained that there are frequencies above and below that you can't hear. We got into a rap with George Martin a long time ago about that. And you know, we talked for hours about these frequencies below the sub that you couldn't really hear, and the high frequencies that only dogs could hear. In fact, we put a sound on Sgt. Pepper that only dogs could hear.
And I guess it's worked, right? This is proven it.
Well, if you ever play Sgt. Pepper, watch your dog. Suddenly you go, now, down boy.
Jokers.
You came along and made my life a song.
I love this question here. You know, you came along and made my life a song. Do you realize that that line describes how a lot of people feel about you?
I mean, I'm really writing it about Nancy. But I do love that thing about songs, is that when you release them, they become people's property. They're not mine anymore. So that if someone puts a meaning on one of my songs that suits them, or in this case, you know, that's they think it's about me, then that's great. I mean, I can only be complimented by that. And I really am massively complimented. I will walk along the street in London or New York, and I will really quite often get people, hey man, I just got to tell you, you changed my life, man. Your music. Well, it's kind of, whoa, it's a biggie, you know, and it is like, so I really do love that. We didn't set out to do that. We were 4 kids originally who set out just to make some money, get to buy a guitar, maybe a car, and that was sort of the only motivation. Have some fun, get a few girls.
Yep.
With the list is building.
Still doing that though. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so we've got to say goodbye, but I hope everybody who's been watching this worldwide has enjoyed that. I most certainly have, and thank you so much for your time as always.
It's great. Man. No, thank you, John.
Great to see you.
People came